Hello, welcome to the National Guild Hypnotist Washington chapter. My name is Danny Green, and we're so happy to have Erin McLoughlin speaking with us this evening on QHHT. So I'm just going to give you the floor, Erin. Thanks so much for telling us more about your hypnosis practice.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me to speak on it. It's one of my favorite subjects and one that I dearly love, a process I truly love and find very effective. So I'll give you a brief just introduction to myself. I've been a hypnotist, a registered hypnotist since 2014 in the state of Washington, but I've been doing hypnosis for over 20 years just for friends and family. And I used to do traditional hypnosis, and I also am a Reiki practitioner and other health modalities, energy work kind of things. But hypnosis is my true passion. And I just think it's everybody in the world, if they could be hypnotized, the world would be such a nicer, calmer, happier place. Anyway, I stumbled upon Dolores Cannon's work and with QHHT. She's the founder of the technique, because I was looking for a way to bring my clients into a deeper state of hypnosis, and a more effective way of hypnosis. So I stumbled upon this technique created by Dolores Cannon. Let me tell you a little bit about Dolores. She was born in 1931. And she married a Navy man, and was a Navy wife for over 20 years. He was in active duty. And she and her husband, Johnny, decided to play around with hypnotism. So they developed kind of a clientele on the Navy base, doing hypnosis, weight loss, relaxation, that kind of thing. And they really developed a fan club. And one time someone at the Naval Hospital asked her to work with a woman who was morbidly obese, couldn't lose weight, and her organs were failing, and she was in a bad state, and hypnosis was the last resort. So Dolores worked with her. She just did a regular hypnosis on her, and the woman jumped to another life. And this was new to Dolores. She didn't know much about reincarnation or anything like that. So she worked with her, and over a period of years, and of course the woman lost weight, and her life changed. But that was how she got into regression work. That's where it all started. Then her husband was in a terrible accident and forced to retire from the Navy, and they had to live on his naval pension, and she had like 5 kids. So they found the cheapest place they could go, and that was the mountains of Arkansas. So she raised her children and lived there, and started a hypnosis practice up there. And through the years, she developed the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, and which is what we use today. But it's been over 50 years since she started doing this technique, and has perfected it. And it's full of safeguards. It's just works beautifully. So I'm just going to show you a picture of Dolores. You can see, can you see her? She doesn't look like a new ager, so to speak. She has lived a long life. She died in 2014. But through the years, through her techniques, she did past life regressions. She researched alien abductions, that kind of thing, time travel. And she learned that she could bring people into the deepest state of hypnosis, which is a somnambulistic state. And through the somnambulistic state, explore regions that were appropriate for the client. So the main goal of QHHT is healing. That is the main goal of any session, and to connect with your subconscious mind. And what does subconscious mind mean? The higher self, the oversoul, the soul, the seat of all knowledge, the place that knows everything about you, where you've been, what you've done, and has all the answers. Now, how is healing achieved? We regress the client to release, to identify the root causes of the illness. And now, remember, we're in a somnambulistic state twice a day, regularly, just on our own. Once before we wake up in the morning, and just as before we go to sleep, before we reach that delta state. So it's a very natural state of being for us. It's nothing spectacular, but we don't often realize that we can find all kinds of answers in that somnambulistic state. So by going to that deepest level of hypnosis, we take the client to 3 important days in their life. This life, it could be this life, it could be another life. It's up to the client. It just happens. It happens naturally. When you're taking the client into this state, they just go to where they need to go. And we take them to an important day, one that has the answers to the questions, the most appropriate time and place that has the answers to the questions that they want to deal with. So these questions that they come to us with, or me, the royal we, have to do with relationships, health primarily, and patterns, jobs, whatever. But all healing and answers are given by the subconscious. All healing is done by the subconscious, not by me. I'm the facilitator. So we explore those events and either death or birth experiences too, because it's important to go through either the death or the birth experience and review what the purpose of that life was. Then they leave that life behind and we move forward. And then we contact the I call it the SC. Dolores called it the SC, the subconscious mind, the superconscious, the oversoul. SC seems to be an easy name to remember. So then we contact the SC, and the clients come with a list of questions, anything that they have a question on, relationships, illnesses, and the purpose of their life. So we explore those. I ask all those questions, and while I'm asking those questions of the subconscious mind, because this conscious mind has hopefully totally receded and sitting on the side of the room, maybe watching. But I ask this SC to do a body scan. And that means they start at the top of the head and go to the bottom of the toes and check and see if anything is out of order. And if it is, we ask permission for them to fix it, to heal it, so that, and where the illness originated. Because sometimes when you find out the origination of why you're feeling ill, it just heals itself naturally. When you know why, you don't need that illness anymore, and you just let it go and let it leave you. So the process, it's quite a lengthy process to do a QHHT session. It begins when you come into my home or someone else's home or office, and we have around 2 hours, we just chat. And the goal of that chat is to develop trust and information. I only ask the client, I only write down the client's birthday, and I use that as a marker in time. So I want to know if they go back in time or forward or to another. I just want to know where we are in time. Because also in the somnambulistic state, you are there. You are where you are looking at the situation you are examining. You are there. It's like you are really there. So, and you're reporting back to me on what you're seeing. So I only ask the first name and the birthday, and I don't take notes. I don't write anything down. I just listen to you. And I do ask you some questions or ask for clarifications. But I do ask you to bring a list of questions. And once we've talked, then I go over these questions with you. And sometimes that's for me to clarify your questions. Sometimes I consolidate questions, and so we just talk. And that goes on for about 2 hours, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. Then you have a bathroom break. You have to use the bathroom because it's another lengthy process. The hypnosis part of it goes on for about 2 hours as well. And it's kind of hard to, this only happened to me once, to have somebody get up from hypnosis to use the bathroom and while they're in that hypnotic state. So it's preferable everybody takes a bathroom break and then we get back into hypnosis. But for the actual hypnosis after the bathroom break, I use I have a room like a guest room, and it has a bed, a full bed, and I use a full bed instead of a chair because clients tend to thrash around sometimes when they are reliving experiences, and I don't want them to fall off the bed or fall off the chair, or I don't want them to be uncomfortable anyway. Safety is my priority, and comfort, and so a bed seems to work best. I have a variety of pillows for comfort, and I have a variety of weighted kind of blankets, from very lightweight to quilts to heavy blankets, to be comfortable. And since COVID, I have a medical grade air filter in the room where I do the interview and in the room where we do the hypnosis. I keep the window cracked a little bit, but the room is darkened, but not completely dark. I want them to have a light in case they get nervous. So let's see. So then when the client is comfortable in the bed, we begin the induction. Now, there's no music or crystals or anything used. It's just cut and dry. You get in the bed, I give you an induction, I begin the induction, and I record the session. But I start my recording after the induction. And the reason is I don't want you to re-listen to the induction. I want you to listen to the hypnosis session, but it just reinforces everything and answers questions that maybe you weren't aware of during the session. But I don't want you to re-listen to the induction because you will get re-hypnotized, and I will not be there to help guide you and protect you. And when I say protect, I mean help guide you. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's no way you can really harm yourself during this, but I like to be there. I never take my eyes off the client while they are under hypnosis. And we don't use eye shades either, because I need to see that your eyes are moving back and forth. So as you know, during hypnosis, your facial features change. and I need to make sure I see all your facial features changing. Your skin kind of smooths out. Sometimes people's necks will bulge. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I see a lot of that. One woman actually started to look younger. By the end of the hypnosis, wow, this lady looked about 30 years younger than she did at the beginning of the hypnosis. Not that she looked old or anything to begin with, but she looked like a different person. And then after I brought her out of hypnosis, she started to change back into the person that walked in. She looked like her old self. Not old self, but herself. Anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting, but that does happen a lot. So once we're through the induction, during the induction, I take the clients, I ask them for a beautiful place. And I know a lot of inductions ask the clients to find a beautiful place, the most beautiful place in the world, and a place that they feel happy and comfortable in. And I asked them to describe it in great, great detail. And we talk about the beautiful place for a long time. And we do this because it grounds them in the beautiful place. It gets their imagination and their senses working. And we want their imaginations working, because hypnosis, you have to be able to imagine, to see in your mind's eye these places and to get things going. So I can also, tell where they are in terms of level of hypnosis. So the client tells me all about the beautiful place, how it smells, how it looks, how it feels, where it is. And then we move on to a cloud. And they wrap themselves in the cloud, and we float around to find the most appropriate time and place where they can see what they need to see. And while they're on that cloud, I remind them to tell me everything they are seeing and feeling, because I can't see and feel or smell what they are. So it's important for them to engage all of their senses and tell me about it. And the more engaged they are, the deeper they go. So when they land off the cloud, I ask them to tell me what they see and tell me everything they see, hear, smell, feel, taste, whatever, everything that's happening to them at that time. And I keep them a long time in that scene, because we want to set the scene. The deeper the more intensely we can set that scene, the more information we can get. And so they describe their surroundings, and where I ask them to, find a path or whatever, and show me where they live. And I ask if they're male or female, or if they perceive themselves to be male or female. Because remember, sometimes they come off the cloud, not on the planet Earth. Sometimes they come off in other places, which we can talk about later. So they might not have bodies. So I find out first if they have a body, and then if they have feet, and then if they perceive themselves to be male or female, if they're wearing ornaments of any kind, and just clues to who they are and where they are and what they are. Because remember, you can't ask them, well, are you in Europe? Are you in a castle in England? Because when they're back there, they're back there. And sometimes the names of countries that we have now are not what countries were called back then. So I don't want to confuse them. I want to have them give me as much detail as possible. And then I can kind of sort it out myself, and they will eventually sort it out themselves too. So we look for a lot of clues. And Dolores was the persistent seeker of lost knowledge. She was a great historian, and a lot of the work all of the work that she did. And especially if someone landed in a past life or has something historical, she researched that and to make sure that they weren't somehow imagining it or making it up. And so she verified her facts and figures and did her research. So a lot of times people who don't know each other will come in and say the same kind of things about a certain time period. And when people are going to a certain place like heaven, when people repeat these, strangers say these same things, there's a lot of validity to that because they haven't been, comparing notes and trying to come up with the same story or trick or me or anybody else. So information is verified. So we explore and ask questions constantly because sometimes there's a lot of quiet time. You'll ask a question and then there's some quiet. And you think, oh, what's happening? Where do I go from here? But if you persistently ask questions and tell me more, and I can't see what you're seeing, can you tell me what you're seeing or smelling or feeling? That triggers responses. So we have to ask a lot of questions. And when we come to get as much information out of that lifetime or 3 days in one lifetime, then I asked the purpose of that lifetime. What was the purpose? Why did they go to that lifetime? Why did they experience those situations in this hypnosis session? And they tell me. So if there's time, and mind you, I like to keep the hypnosis session part to about 2 hours. The body sometimes, I think, gets a little stressed after 2 hours under such intense hypnosis. So I keep it to 2 hours. If there's time to go and do more than 1 or 2 lives, we'll explore those as well. And I have. But I want to get as much information as possible. So then after I separate lives and remove them from the life they were just explaining to me or sharing with me, then I contact the subconscious mind, and they're still under hypnosis. And the first thing I ask the subconscious mind, once I ask permission to speak to the subconscious mind, likes, to give permission. I ask why they chose that lifetime for this person to see. What did they learn? What was the lesson that they learned from that lifetime? And the SC will tell us. So we explore, and then I ask questions about to the SC, and I ask simple literal questions because the SC is very literal. For instance, if somebody had a question about their a disease they have, and the disease has a name, I don't say, can you tell me more about why so-and-so has developed this disease? The SC won't know what that disease is. You have to tell the SC what the symptoms are and say, okay, she's suffering from constant headaches behind the eyes and ear ringing. And can you please stop this from happening? Can you help her? Can you move her forward from this issue? Because she'd really like some healing and she'd really like to leave this pain behind. And the SC will say, yes, okay, we'll work on it. But while I'm asking all these questions, the SC is also doing a body scan. And I'll ask how the SC is doing, where they are, what's happening, and they'll tell me. and they'll say, oh, there's a little work that needs to be done around this kneecap, or the little work behind the eyes. And sometimes the client will feel heat. Or the other day I had a woman, and the SC was doing a body scan, and all of a sudden she would have been freezing, so cold. All of a sudden she was like, I'm so hot. And I said, okay, let's take the covers off, because she had big quilts on her. And we took it off, and she's like, oh, that's so much better. And she said, I feel tingling. Her body was tingling, and hot and tingling all over. And the heat and the tingling just went from her head down to her feet. And I said, okay, so Essie, she has some problems with her blood, and she'd like healing with that. And the SC was working on it. So a lot goes on. And then I ask, does this certain relationships, like when I'm asking the questions, I'll say, she's having trouble with her, children. Does she have a karmic relationship with them? What is the relationship? And the SC will say, oh yeah, there's some karma there, and she was her daughter in another life, and she betrayed her or whatever. Or the SC will say, yeah, she has pain in the eye because she was hit by an arrow in another existence, and it's residual pain. Can you release that pain and release that anger and whatever happened in that life? Okay, sure, it's released. And then the pain goes away. And for good. It's a healing. So it's pretty interesting. What goes around comes around, and sometimes it sticks around. So it's best to release old angers, relationships now, so they don't pop up at other times or places. Because a lot of times, I don't know if this is my belief, in my belief system, that anger, unresolved anger that sticks around, just causes illness. And it's best to get rid of it, get rid of that anger, have clarity with your life and your relationships, forgive, forget, move on, and don't hold on to it, because it can make you sick. And why? You don't need that. Life is nice. And anyhow, so we ask what these relationships have to do with the client now. And then we explore it, and we ask the SC if it's permissible, and if it's permissible and possible. Because remember, some illnesses are karmic in nature. Not all, but some of them are karmic in nature. Or you came in agreeing to have this illness. And so if that's the case, I mean, even Jesus couldn't heal everybody, as Dolores said. So that's something you always ask permission. So then we leave the SC after that, and I count the client out, and then they've had an out-of-body experience. So I let them rest, and we talk about it, what they remember, and then they get up, usually go to the bathroom again. And then I come and make them a cup of tea and give them something to eat, like a sweet biscuit or something, to ground them. They've just been through an extraordinary experience, and you can't just hand them their hat and say, safe journey home. You have to ground them and get them back in their bodies, and talk about what they went through. And just a word, I think QHHT is so successful in reaching the subconscious mind, and just in general, is because of the interview, because we take a long time to talk and get to know. Trust is essential. And even after a long chat, sometimes the level of trust is almost there, but not quite. So I'm a pretty benign person myself. I think I'm fairly easy to talk to and get to know, and non-threatening, and everything that is said to me is confidential. I never would mention anyone's name that I worked with, or I don't take notes. I do make a report and send it to the headquarters, just because I have to do 25 interviews, sessions. But I mean, I only give the people the name, the year of the person's birth. So it's all confidential. I treasure people's confidence and in me, and their confidentiality. I feel like I'm a priest in the confessional, and nothing is spoken of. I can speak, anecdotally, and the people I've mentioned are people you all would not know anyway. But I would never ever talk to anybody and about anybody in particular. The other day I was at a barbecue, and I had worked with someone's friend that she had asked me to work with. And she said, "Oh, you worked with so and so, and he's like a new man, and he has no desire for cigarettes at all." I was like, "Oh, I just kind of glossed over it and changed the subject, because it's nobody's business. It's between you and me, you, the client, and me." Anyway, I also, maybe you all noticed that these days, a lot of clients, they used to go out like lights. They were out. They have no memory of what they said or did. These days, clients are a little more aware. They have, like, their conscious mind is sitting in the corner watching, and sometimes it likes to, pop in and try to control the situation. But then I ask it to leave, and typically it will. It can sit in the corner and watch, but I'm working with the subconscious mind. So that's becoming more common. The left brain can pop in. So we remind the client to trust us, trust in the process, trust that nothing will harm them, and say what you see, describe everything you see in great detail, and talk, keep talking. I can't see what the person is seeing, so you have to be as descriptive as possible. I'm constantly asking them what they see and to tell me more. Questions. Sometimes there are long periods of silence between questions. And yes, I think, oh my gosh, what's happening here? Where are we going with this? But I keep asking them questions. Tell me what you see. Sometimes it's the SC who can't figure out how to talk through that person. So I ask the SC if they know they're talking through so and so, and then the SC will say, "Oh, okay," and then they will be able to verbally converse with me. The woman that I was working with that threw the covers off, she was having a hard time. You could see her mouth trying to get the words out, like people will sort of like blow out their cheeks when the SC is trying to speak. And afterwards, she told me she was trying to speak, but the SC was in her stomach, and she couldn't get the SC to speak out loud consistently. Anyway, very interesting stuff goes on. Also, sometimes people will think they're speaking very loudly. The client will think they're speaking very loudly, but to me, it sounds like a whisper. Now, they're coming through space and time. So they may think they are speaking loudly, but I just ask them to speak up, and they do. When you remind them, they're speaking through a human being. So the bottom line is to find the root cause of all the illness, and that to know that the SC knows every aspect about you, about every experience you've ever had in your life. And sometimes we are vibrating, certain experiences have different vibrations and frequencies, and frequently we are vibrating at different frequencies, so it makes communication difficult. So the trick is to get the vibrations and the frequencies on the same level for clear communication. But it happens. We believe in, I can't say we believe in, but we create our own worlds. What you think you get. I mean, we see this in hypnosis all the time. Clients come to us, oh, I think I'm fat. Well, if you think you're fat, you're going to be fat eventually, even if you aren't. Or I think I have this, or I think I have that, and you. It's like self-fulfilling prophecy. What you think you get. So guard your thoughts. Always guard your thoughts and think positively. And whenever you have those negative thoughts about yourself or anything else, you just hit your eject button and get rid of it. But experiences, they all reside at every hidden aspect of our nature resides at the deepest level of consciousness, and we can access it. So the SC will communicate with us with sincere intent, if our intent is sincere. And the client also has to have a desire to change. And you can say, oh, I want to, heal this or that, but I want to stop drinking alcohol. But unless you have a sincere desire to really change that, I don't care what kind of hypnosis you perform, it will not change unless the client has a sincere desire to make that change. So it's quick and easy with the SC, but you have to want to. You have to listen to your recording. I'm sure you all find this in hypnosis. You make the recording and people don't listen to it. Well, listening to it is reinforcing. And the more you listen to something, the more you get that message, the more you will learn, the more your intention will change, and the more you will reach, the easier you'll have of a time to reach your goals. So you've got to help yourself too. The client has responsibility in their own healing and moving forward in their lives. I'm a facilitator. We're all facilitators, and they can do it. It's just like magic. So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so how long do these sessions last completely?
Typically about 4 hours.
Hmm.
Between the interview, the little break, the hypnosis, and chatting afterwards, about 4 hours. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a long process, but it's typically that's it. You don't have to come back unless you want to. I mean, I have some people who just enjoy the experience and of time travel and come back. Now, built into the process, we can insert a keyword if they want to come back. I insert a keyword that when they come back, we don't have to go through such a lengthy process. I can just say the keyword and they're back in under So that's something. And built in, say a client is, I'm having a tough time reaching the subconscious mind, in between leaving the past life experience. There's a meditation, a silver crystalline river meditation, where I go through the clearing, cleansing, healing the chakras. And that kind of, that provides a healing, because the goal is to heal. So even though maybe I don't talk to the SC as in as deep a level as I want to, at least they will leave with a healing. So that's effective. And sometimes it kicks the conscious mind right out, and we can get some work done. Now, I have a question for you guys. Have anybody seen, there's a book by a man named Holland, and now, excuse me a minute, he's got that's quite enough. He's got a program on Netflix. It's a documentary series called Change Your Mind. So interesting. He's an author, and he examines the use of LSD, the use and history of LSD in healing mental illness and anxiety and fear of death, all kinds of things. And he examined LSD in one program and mushrooms in another program. And I found that, did you know the fellow from that created Alcoholics Anonymous quit drinking after he took this LSD under medical guidance, but it was a popular way to treat mental illness in the 1950s, 40s, 50s. And it was like kind of a one and done deal. But for people with cancer, it took away their anxiety and fear of dying. But when I was hearing the people that he interviewed who had gone through the LSD, experience, what they experience is frequently a lot like what comes through when I reach the subconscious mind. It's that kind of experience. They see the oneness of life and the connectivity, how we are all connected, and that this isn't the only game in town. I mean, there's life before, after, and we just go on. We're eternal. Our souls are eternal. We're souls having a, physical experience, but our souls go on.
Yeah, Kama, as you were talking, so I'll be frank and transparent in that a lot of what you're talking about, past lives, life regression, I'm not a believer in. But as you were talking, this was where actually my mind went to, is that a lot of these psychedelic experiences and experiences that are outside our normal realm that take our mind to connections and experiences and visions that we would not have elsewhere. And exactly what you thought about, thinking about psilocybin. How do you pronounce it?
Psilocybin. Oh,
Got it.
psilocybin. That's right.
Psilocybin, LSD. That, yes. I mean, who am I to gatekeep whatever or however you get to your epiphanies, your connections, and your realizations? Right. And more power.
Absolutely, I agree.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for those comments. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording so that it doesn't get, longer. And then we will.
Oh, damn, this
continue.
former police officer is now on record as a big believer in psychedelic drugs. Damn it.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Erin. We'll keep our meeting going here, but let me stop the recording.
Well, just to support you, Mark, the medical world is looking